News 46, local coverage you can count on.
At Healthcare Partners Medical Group, our mission is to provide the highest quality of healthcare to each and every patient. With 5 locations in Pahrump, we are local doctors you know and trust. We want to thank you for choosing us. Quality care starts here.
News 46 is brought to you by Healthcare Partners and Humana. News is also brought to you by Barry Levinson and Associates, Pahrump's Bankruptcy Center. When it comes to important matters like bankruptcy, call an experienced, compassionate attorney. Call the Bankruptcy Center of Pahrump. Call 775-727-4747. News is also brought to you by Tire Works Total Car Care. Not your typical tire and service company. Guaranteed lowest prices on tires. Your one-stop shop for all automotive needs. Call 775-751-6100 or 702-365-TIRE. News is also brought to you by the St. Therese Mission, a future venue for cultural and environmental events near Pahrump. Get involved. Visit us at sttheresemission.com or call 702-507-4172.
Tonight on News 46, the wind plays havoc all over town.
One woman is injured following a single vehicle rollover.
And only a few attend the vigil for the accident victim. News 46 starts now.
You're watching KPVM News 46 with Rick Vale and Rhonda Van Winkle. Local coverage from Deanna O'Donnell. News 46, local coverage you can count on.
Good evening, it's Monday, January 23rd, 2012. I'm Rick Vale.
And I'm Tony Joe for News 46. Las Vegas Metro was called in to investigate a single vehicle rollover that injured one woman who was off-roading Saturday night up Basin Avenue in the mountains.
Saturday night, right before dusk, was a single vehicle rollover up on the mountain on Mount Charleston. The 3 females driving the SUV, however, after they rolled the vehicle, it landed on their wheels. They were able to drive down the mountain with 1 injury. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue arrived on scene to evaluate that occupant. We're going to speak to Fire Chief Scott Lewis.
It's my understanding that the actual accident occurred several miles up in the mountain in the slushy areas where it had turned from snow into the regular gravel roads. And at some point, a vehicle overturned. There was 3 occupants. The vehicle landed upright. And at some point, there was at least 1 injury. They drove the vehicle down off the mountain and then called 911 once they got back into cell service. Upon arrival, we did find an SUV with substantial damage consistent with that of a rollover, and 1 patient was subsequently transported to the local hospital.
It is true that they don't get cell service up the hill up there.
Yeah, it's something we encounter on a regular basis as well. Once you get past certain points, there is no cell coverage.
And do you think that the person was wearing their seatbelt at that point? Do you know?
I don't know, since, again, they drove down the mountain, so it's very difficult to tell. But it reminds us to have a solid plan because the individuals went up in the mountain without telling anyone where they were going, what time they were leaving, and what time they were anticipating back. So it would have been a very difficult challenge to go up there and locate them if they had actually left the roadway and were not able to drive it back down for themselves.
And it was actually at dusk when this was occurring, too, as well. If there was a situation where they couldn't have drove the car down, it would have been so impossible to to get emergency help up there since they didn't have cell service.
Exactly. Without the communications and appropriate plan for having, food materials with them, additional blankets, things like that, water, it was just not very well planned, but the outcome turned out all right.
And the other occupants of the vehicle also went in the ambulance instead of staying on scene, mostly because they didn't have a vehicle to remain in, or?
Yeah, actually, we just wanted to keep the group together.
And so were they even checked out at all?
I don't know. Once they got to the hospital, then I don't know if they were evaluated further.
This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
And we have an update regarding the two-vehicle accident on Highway 160 and Rainbow on Friday morning. The driver of the minivan, Anthony Busse, who reportedly caused the accident, was arrested at Desert View Hospital on Saturday on charges of possession of taking an automobile without the owner's consent. He is being held on $3,000 bail. Nye County Sheriff's deputies also ordered a blood test on Mr. Busse. The female front passenger of the truck involved in the accident with Anthony Busse sustained injuries in the accident. She, her husband, and her niece were traveling to Front Site to spend the day when the accident occurred. Her condition is unknown at this time.
And sadly to report, only 6 people attended the candlelight vigil on Saturday for Michael Flannery on Pahrump Valley Boulevard and Casey Street. The 35-year-old died after being struck by a vehicle while riding his bike home to his residence off of Basin Avenue. Now, Michael was reportedly helping the mother of his 12 and 14-year-old boys move into her new home on Dollar Street, down on the south end of town. No one from the deceased man's family attended the event, held on the spot where his body lay for over 12 hours undiscovered.
We're with Pastor Ron Fairbairn. We're on Pahrump Valley Boulevard in Casey. Tell me about Michael Flannery.
Well, I met Michael about a year ago, and when I met his whole family here. And they had come and they had rented a house that I was managing some property for, and that's how I met Michael and Nicole and Charles and Anthony and Ashley and
who are all they?
And that's
Both
two of them are his children, and Nicole. I believe I'm not sure.
The mother of the children.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so. Michael was in church the first Sunday in December to watch Nicole being baptized, and it was so good to see him, man. And that man, he was dressed to the nines, and he was just so proud of Nicole for being baptized.
This is such a loss, and so many people in the community are just devastated by this. This is the first time we can remember a hit and run where somebody hasn't reported it.
Right. And if you can look around, you can see how dark it would be, but still with the lights on a vehicle, you would think that wouldn't happen, So, but there's a lot of people in this town praying for Michael.
How's the family doing?
Well, the family, actually, they're going through some tough times right now because they can't believe it. And that's...
They didn't show up to the candlelight vigil tonight.
No. I had talked to Ashley today, and she was going to come to music, but we weren't able to get somebody to get out there, give her a ride. And so...
Who's that? Who's Ashley?
That's one of the other children of Nicole. Yeah.
And they couldn't get a ride out here for the vigil?
Well, I texted him, but I never got a call back, so I'm not sure. But I know Nicole, she's just been crying, and she just keep her in prayer. That's what she said.
Michael lived off Basin Street, and he was riding his bike down here. He didn't drive.
Right. Well, they just, Nicole and the family just moved over here. And so that's why Michael came over here, was to visit with them. But only place I'd ever seen Michael was in church, and when I went over to the house to pick up Nicole and the kids.
I know that we had some other friends of the family that were here today.
Yes, and they knew when they lived over on Wood Chips that they knew the family there. And they said that Michael actually did some work for him, and that's how they got to know him.
He was quite a handyman.
Yes, he was.
And we also had somebody play saxophone here today.
That was Nick Giordano, and he's just such an excellent saxophone player. And every time when Michael came to the church, that Nick always played, and he really enjoyed that. So I asked Nick tonight if he would do Amazing Grace for Michael.
Tell me how the community has reached out and spoke about this family, and how do you know how they can help? Because we've got so many people who want to help the family, who want to help the kids.
Yeah, well, there's about 7 in that family, and so they just moved, and they've been getting just all kinds of help from our community. People reaching out that they really didn't even know them.
Can people contact you if they'd like to help out?
Yes, at Pastor Ron Fairbairn, Central Valley Baptist Church, 910-9995.
Now, the suspect and vehicle that struck and killed Mr. Flannery on January 14th has not been located. Investigators reportedly may be looking for a black Chevy or GMC truck or SUV with damage to the right front side. If you have any information, you are urged to please call the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 751-7000.
And wow, was it windy out there this weekend. Later in the broadcast, we will get some exact statistics regarding the recorded wind speed from Saturday. This morning, we caught up with Lieutenant Anita Smith from Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue to get a rundown of this weekend's events.
Well, as you may know, this weekend was a wild weekend as far as winds are concerned. We're going to speak to Lieutenant Anita Smith from Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue.
We did. We had that early, about 8 o'clock that morning.
Nobody was in the vehicle.
No. The reports came out as a rollover, but there were no occupants there when we got there.
That person took off then?
That's assumed, yeah.
And were we able to locate him, or we don't know?
No. The police and the fire department both gave big efforts to try to find somebody in the vehicle, and there was nobody around in the area.
I know that we had a lot of high winds this weekend, which caused havoc all over town. Give us a little rundown of what happened this weekend.
We had quite a few wind calls. We had a carport that had unlodged from its base and flipped up into power lines. VEA came and shut the power down and removed that from there.
That was on Bunch Street, right?
That was on Bunch Street, yeah. Across the road from that, we had another tree that had fallen, actually a limb of a tree that had fallen on top of a house. So we made efforts to cut that off the roof and make it safe for the residents to reenter.
I noticed that you guys did that very slowly, piece by piece, taking it down so that he wouldn't have any damage to his roof. That area seems to be like a little bit of a wind tunnel, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's strange that those would be right across the street from each other. So apparently something went through there, pretty good wind blast or what have you. But yeah, our main goal was not to create any more damage to the house. The house was pretty lucky. The gentleman was lucky not to have any damage to the roof. So our goal was to take it down slowly and safely and just make sure that we didn't create any more damage and get it out of the way for him.
What was the end result of that carport up into the power lines? How did we get it down and secure?
Actually, VEA handled that because it was in the power lines. So they removed the carport and used their bucket truck to take that down and place it back on the ground on its back.
What other reports do we have?
Oh my, we had a couple of brush fires that day. I'm not sure how they started exactly, but the wind causes a big problem with the brush fires, obviously. It spreads them very, very quickly. But we were able to get there quickly and get them under control. As well, we had a lot of roof problems. We had 2 incidences where unsecured tin roofs were coming off of structures, and that becomes a problem because they just become a sail. And once they come off the structure, they can hit, people, other houses, structures, cars. So they can do a lot of damage.
The wind really gets up underneath that aluminum roof on some of those mobile homes there. The nails don't seem to be very long as well.
Yeah, the problem is with some of the older model single wides in that, it's the older houses and the older structures, and the roofs just aren't. They've taken this beating for a long time, so they just become weak and they eventually, just come up. So they just need some extra care and attention to secure them down.
We've had some issues with carports in the past. Maybe people thinking that they don't need anything to secure them down. What is recommended for securing those carport legs down?
Well, obviously I'm not a construction worker, but, I would say at the minimum you're going to want to concrete that in and maybe do some lag bolts into the concrete to secure that well. The problem is carports are literally just a sail out here. If they're not secured really, really well, the wind can get a hold of them and then up they go. We have some pretty good wind blasts out here that creates havoc occasionally.
And not only dangerous for humans, but dangerous for the rest of your property.
Absolutely. When they become a sail, the wind will catch them and they'll just fly, and whatever's in their path, they'll destroy.
And yesterday afternoon, a chase occurred between deputies and one suspect who allegedly stole an Xbox from Walmart.
32-year-old Aaron Taylor was taken into custody after a lengthy chase down Betty Street to wood chips through neighborhoods, finally ending in a field on Barney and Mesquite. He is facing charges related to failure to stop, reckless driving, burglary, larceny, injury to other property, petty larceny, violating basic speed, too fast for conditions, DUI, driving on a suspended or revoked license. The suspect is said to have had 4 to 5 other DUI-related arrests. He's being held in over $40,000 bail at the Nye County Sheriff's Office Detention Center. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
And yesterday afternoon, detectives from Nye County Sheriff's Office Narcotics and Street Crimes Unit conducted an arrest of 2 adults at 4340 Homestead.
Arrested were 58-year-old David Roy Sutton and 54-year-old Susan Adelaide Hiller, who was a former Department of Family Services employee. Narcotics and street crime units had probable cause to arrest Sutton and Hiller for manufacturing methamphetamine prior to arriving at the residence. A search warrant was served inside the residence. Detectives discovered multiple packages of methamphetamine, methamphetamine pipes, and a variety of controlled pharmaceutical pills, such as clonazepam and amphetamine capsules. Also discovered was a methamphetamine laboratory. The items from the meth lab included all the necessary equipment to conduct pseudoephedrine extraction process, such as a hot plate, distilled water, gas-line antifreeze, a powder-stained blender, and a coffee pot, and a large amount of cold medicine containing pseudoephedrine. Other items discovered were funnels, Drano, iodine crystals, coffee filters stained with red phosphorus, and a large amount of what is known as binder, which is the waste left behind after the pseudoephedrine extraction process. Sutter and Hiller were booked into the Nye County Sheriff's Office Detention Center for manufacturing methamphetamine. However, both will be charged via criminal complaint with the charges of maintaining a residence for the purpose of narcotics, trafficking, methamphetamine, and conspiracy to violate the Uniform Controlled Substances Act. Nye County Hazmat was called to the scene for cleanup as well. They are both being held on $5,000 bail. This is Deanna O'Donnell for News 46.
Well, coming up, we have an update in the Donner stabbing case.
And more from our CES wrap-up.
That's right. We'll have all this and more after the break, so please keep it here.
News 46 is brought to you by Pahrump Dermatology and Skin Cancer. When you need the best dermatology care in Pahrump, call Pahrump Dermatology and Skin Cancer, 775-727-9800.
Welcome back to News 46. One of the 6 Donner stabbing suspects was in court this morning pleading guilty to the crime.
Here at the Nye County Courthouse, one of the 6 defendants, Tiffany Rubio, was in court this morning to make a plea. We're going to speak to Assistant District Attorney Kirk Vitto.
Yeah, Tiffany Michelle Rubio was scheduled for a change of plea. She pled guilty today to an accessory count and unlawful use of controlled substance count, and her sentencing is set for April 9th of this year. She's been in custody since May 1st of last year.
And so that'll be time served on that. What are we looking at, you think, for how long she's going to be spending in there?
The state's recommendation will be credit for time served on the accessory count, which I believe is count 1, and we're going to be recommending probation for count 2, which is the unlawful use of methamphetamine.
And then I know that we have a total of 6 right now defendants in this Donner stabbing. Give us a run through of what's been going on.
Okay. I know one of the defendants, Charles Eubanks, has a trial date currently set for June 5th, I believe June 5th through the 15th. Troy Jackson has pled guilty. He has a status check coming up in March, a sentencing date probably July 9, which is after the trial date. He's facing a maximum of, well, there's a potential maximum of 60 years. Michael Maxwell Jr. has a sentencing date of July 9. He also has pled guilty. I believe that he has a potential exposure of 44 years. Vicky Garcia was released from custody last December. She has also pled guilty. She probably has a sentencing date, probably the same time, July 9 of this year. I don't know the maximum penalty that she's facing or what the potential could be, but we would be recommending probation for her. All of them were arrested. All of those 5 were arrested May 1st, the date of the crime last year.
And then what was Vicky Garcia's, what did she plead to?
You know, I believe Vicky Garcia pled guilty to, oh gosh, I can't remember if it was as an accessory or if it was actually I think it was as a principal to the offense, but I believe it was an attempt. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
How long did she actually spend in jail?
From May 1st until December 16th, I think. I think that's the date of her release.
We have Amber Maxwell as well now.
Yes, Amber Maxwell, charges were filed in December, and she currently has, I believe, a pretrial date for May of this year. Yeah.
And do we know if there's any other people that are going to be involved in this case? Are we looking at other people that might have been involved?
You know, I really don't want to comment on that. Time will tell as we receive information, collate the information, and then put it all together.
Of course, we'll keep you posted on this trial. This is Deanne O'Donnell at the Nye County Courthouse for News 46.
And 22-year-old Corporal John Luke Bateman and his fellow Marine Kenneth Cochran were electrocuted last week in Afghanistan. The tragedy occurred during an accident involving a broken electric generator. John Luke Bateman was a 2007 graduate of Pahrump Valley High School. The viewing for Corporal John Luke Bateman will be from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, January 26th, followed by services from 6 to 8 p.m. at Pahrump Valley Family Mortuary. His burial will be at 10:40 a.m. January 27th at the Southern Nevada Veterans Memorial Cemetery in Boulder City. Everyone is invited to attend a celebration of life at 1 p.m. January 27th at Pahrump Family Mortuary. In lieu of flowers, donations are being made to fisherhouse.org.
At CES, we spoke to Sharon Ward from Pelican about their new line of protective cases, which should be great for those of you looking to get a little rugged with your devices.
All right, this is Rick Vale reporting from CES 2012. We're here at the Pelican booth, and we're talking with Sharon, who's got some exciting news in Pelican. Tell us a little bit about what's new this year with Pelican.
Well, Pelican manufactures a full line of equipment cases and advanced lighting tools, and this year we're launching a line of hardback cases for e-readers, tablets, your iPads, your Kindles, your Nooks, as well as a line of laptop cases for 15-inch and 17-inch laptops. We're also launching a line of backpacks, so it's actually a Pelican case that you can wear. It's a soft backpack with the Pelican hard case built in.
Now, these are pretty sturdy cases. I mean, I've heard that you can even drive over some of these things. Is that true?
You can certainly drive over them, and we do have some testimonials and video to attest to that.
That's very impressive. What's the price range on something like this? If somebody was interested in getting one of these hard cases, what should they expect to spend?
For a small case for an iPhone would be around $30 retail value, up to a laptop case $95, $100.
Well, that's a great value considering the security you have having a device like that locked away. And if somebody wanted to get one of these, they're available at any retail outlet. How do we go about ordering one of these?
You can find a list of dealers on Pelican.com, or you can go to Amazon.com, REI's, outdoor retailers type stores.
And these are great for those who want to be rugged and really get out there and enjoy the environment, especially out here in the arid desert where you can go rock climbing and stuff like that, right?
They sure are, yeah. Pelican cases are made crush-proof, airtight, watertight. You can take them out on a climb, you can take them out on a boat. If you drop the case, you don't need to worry about your equipment inside getting damaged.
Well, it sounds like a really great product. Thank you for your time, Sharon. We appreciate it. And the White House has released details of President Barack Obama's trip later this week to Southern Nevada. President Obama will be speaking at a Las Vegas UPS cargo building during a brief trip this week following his State of the Union address, which will air tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Pacific Time.
And Nevada's unemployment rate fell to a seasonally adjusted 12.6% in December, bringing the total number of unemployed in the state to 166,300. In Las Vegas, the unemployment rate increased from 12.4 in November to 12.7 in December. In the Reno-Sparks area, it increased 0.3 percentage point to 11.9% in December. In Carson City, the jobless rate climbed to 12.2% in December from 11.9% in November. Now, the unemployment rate in the Elko area increased just 0.1 to 6.7%.
And folks, don't go anywhere. We're going to check with Zach Fuentes after the break to take a look at our 7-day forecast.
News 46 weather is brought to you by Healthcare Partners Medical Group, with 5 locations in Pahrump. Local doctors and professional staff providing total care from infancy to seniors. News 46 weather is also brought to you by your local dairy farmers. Dairy products are very important in maintaining a healthy body. For more information, you can visit their website at nevadadairycouncil.org. News 46 Weather is also brought to you by Humana.
Welcome back to News 46. Zach Fuentes here with your weather. Hope everyone had a great weekend despite our weather. Saturday, we had some rain early in the morning like we thought we would. And then we had that wind advisory that lasted until 7 in the evening on Saturday. And we got our readings from John Bryan at our weather station. Thank you, John. 59 miles per hour was our highest gust at about from noon to 1 on Saturday. So we had powerful winds and a lot of wind damage as you saw earlier in the broadcast. So moving on to today, we had mostly rain out there. Wasn't the nicest day we've had. Our high was 51 degrees, winds coming out of the south-southwest at 9 miles per hour, and our gusts were right up to 21, so it still was a little bit breezy out there. Very cold. Pressure is at 29.80, and our UV index went down a little bit at 2 low. Humidity was at 88%, and our sunrise was at 6:51 a.m., so that is getting earlier still. Today's record was 76 degrees back in 1948. And now taking a look at tonight. It does look like we're going to have showers, a 10% chance. I just want to throw that out there. It might not happen, but it still might happen. So we never know with our weather out here. Our low is going to be 29 degrees, and our winds are going to come out of the north-northeast at 5 miles per hour. Gusts are going to be at up to 12 miles per hour, and our humidity, 75%, very high for us. Sunset was at 5:01 p.m., and our record for tonight was 14 degrees back in 1937. So despite our showers last night, the sun will come out tomorrow. We're going to have a high of 60 degrees, low of 32 degrees, and our winds are going to come out of the north at 9 miles per hour. Gusts are going to be at up to 17 miles per hour, and our UV is going to go back to its norm for this time of the year at 3 moderate. Sunrise is going to remain at 6:51 a.m., and our humidity is going to be at 36%. Now looking at our 7-day forecast, like I said, tomorrow it's going to be sunny, only a day away. And then it's going to be like that for most of the week except for Sunday when we get partly cloudy skies. Our highs are going to go up. We're even going to go into the 70s, it looks like, on Thursday. And our lowest low is only going to be 30 degrees, not too bad. And today's worst weather was in Egg Island Point, New Jersey, where they had rain. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Zach. Now, a special hiring event for veterans and military spouses is being held at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway this Thursday. The event will be held from 11 until 3 p.m.
And folks, that's going to do it for this edition of News 46. I'm Rick Vale.
And I'm Tony Joe.
And from everyone up here in the Hill of KPVM, we wish you a safe evening, and we'll see you here again tomorrow night. Until then, good night, Pahrump.
Good night, everyone.